You will open Pandora's box many times in your life. No, we probably really shouldn't open that box. Look, I've got one rule. Here.
Open your mind. Open your mind.
What's the difference between Iron Man and Aluminium Man? Iron Man stops bad guys. Aluminium Man just foils their plans.
There we go.
Welcome to Pandora's Box, everyone. You're welcome for that joke. Recycle it, share it, and spread it with your loved ones. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. 2 hours of pure shenanigans from this point onwards. Yeah, guys, finally I've caught up with The Last of Us.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, so my missus was out at the weekend, so
nice.
put the toddler to bed, and literally watched
Binge, baby, binge.
watched the first 3 episodes in one go, because they're quite long episodes, aren't they? Like, some of them are like
The
like
first
an hour.
one's
longer
over
as
an hour.
well.
The first one's
like an hour and 20 or something. Yeah. They said. Yeah, and then the rest of them are about an hour, aren't they? Some of them are a bit
Have
over.
you guys seen episode 6? Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I'm behind.
Is there one I'm missing? Because there was the one for the Super Bowl.
There's a brand new one that came out.
So me and you are at the same point.
Oh, I'm missing.
You've now
one.
I've
overtaken us.
overtaken. I've come from nowhere.
Whoa.
It's like you guys have been like turtled on Mario Kart, and I just slipped
God.
by it last
Yeah,
week.
but
I got a mushroom, mate.
Every single day I've been waiting for him. Like, you know,
Mate,
like
it's a great episode.
Is
It's a
it?
great episode, yeah. But obviously, I was going to talk to you guys about it a little bit, but obviously, it's a good thing that you told me early on that you haven't watched it, because some big stuff happens in the last episode.
Cool.
Cool.
Is it the last episode?
No. Well, the last episode, yes,
There's
that's
10
10
episodes.
10.
and
Are you
there's
sure? I
6
thought it was
so
9.
far. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I could be
For
wrong.
some reason, I thought it was 9.
But I know there's 6 out at the moment, isn't there? But I've only seen 5.
You might be
Yeah,
right,
so
Bullwinkle.
far.
You might be right. I don't know. Really.
Who knows?
For some reason,
Who
I had
knows?
9 in my head, but I don't know why. But yeah, so the 6 episodes just been. But yeah, great, isn't it? I think it's amazing. I can see why, because I remember we were talking about, I don't know if it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, about how I saw that on Rotten Tomatoes. It was the second highest rated program of all time, hilariously after Bluey, the little kids show.
Yeah.
And I was saying, but like Bluey, for like any parents out there will know, Bluey is
Banging.
like it's like the sort of show where, you know, like your kids want to watch certain shows, and a lot of them you're like, oh, God's sake. Like, there's only so much Peppa Pig you can watch, guys.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, all those parents out there will know what I'm on about. And if you're one of those parents, if you're out there thinking, no, I love watching Peppa Pig, then I'm
You
sorry.
ain't seen Bluey.
I don't
You
know.
ain't seen nothing yet.
I don't even know what to say, because I mean, yeah, there's only so much.
I like
Peppa
that
Pig
little
to take,
that there's like a weird little songwriter guy that comes on the BBC and he's like
The Chris Cope podcast. No, the Nick Cope. Sorry, because it's funny because his name's Nick Cope.
Yeah, and one of our best friends is called Nick Cope.
Yeah, Nicky C. Yeah, he's like but his name's Nick Cope, and then there's a musician. Yeah, and he's got the song like I lost my bubble hat.
Yeah, that's a banger, man.
My bubble hat.
Wasn't he in like a famous band back in the day? Or
Yeah, we should
something?
play his track. It was pretty good, actually. I might get it up on YouTube just to sort of like play in the background in a minute, just while we're talking sort of like quietly. But it's a genuinely good song. It was that sort of Brit pop sound of the 90s, you know, like quite, you know, like think bands like, you know, the Verve, Blur, Oasis. It was in that same sort of vein, you know, but even like songs, what was the band? You know, it was a really good song I like from the 90s. It's like, I'm coming out for the summer.
Oh yeah,
playing games in the
heard
rain.
That for ages.
Yeah, that's a really good song in it. But it was like that. It was that 90s British style of music, wasn't it? Which I thought was really good, to be fair. But yeah, it's like that. I'll try and find it, man. I'll try and find it in a minute. But
Summary.
But yeah, how do we get on from that? Oh yeah, because we're talking about Rotten Tomatoes.
Us.
I can see why it's such a highly rated program, but you know, like higher rated than like Game of Thrones or like shows I like absolutely
So
love. Like
brutal,
the last
isn't
Game.
it?
It's like
so
brutal.
far, I feel like it's gotten better with every episode as well.
And it's just so well written. I just think, and I think it's actually like pretty realistic as well. Like I can imagine that, like if that happened, if that scenario happened. Obviously, spoiler alert, guys, for people that haven't watched The Last of Us. We'll try not to get into too much nitty gritty of the actual like specifics, but yeah, spoiler warning for anyone that really doesn't want to know anything about the
If
show.
you're watching on YouTube, I'll put in a little note of when we stop talking about this or whatever, so you can skip to that if you need.
And if you haven't seen The Last of Us for whatever reason, then do yourself a favour, you know, and watch it, because it is fantastic. I'm so glad I did. Can you imagine, like, because as I said, I've been saving it, and then watching 3 episodes in a row, and then 2 the next day. And then just earlier on in the week, just watching that last one, I was like, it was a great few days watching for me.
Yeah,
do you know
I
what
can
I mean?
imagine.
Just being, but then that frustrating thing, because now I'm like the rest of you, I have to watch it. I have to like wait every week until it's going to come out. But I thought like it's very realistic the way it's obviously like following around like the girl in the first episode, and it's like at first things are normal, and you know how like there's like news on in the background, but even if they're talking about quite like grandiose events, I think a lot of the time
like sort of imagination. Well, not even imagination, but you just don't really understand quite the severity of what's going on.
I don't even think it's necessarily that. I think the media for like their own sales, like newspaper sales, clickbait, etc. I think the media can be a bit like the boy that cried wolf. You know, so it's like they're always saying like, this is gonna happen or that's gonna happen, and you're so used to it that you tune out. You're like, whatever.
It's not until you get that like government screen sign that's just like there is a national emergency. That's when okay.
I remember like obviously like the coronavirus Pandora wasn't anywhere near like the level of what happens in The Last of Us, but I remember like hearing about how like Milan had been shut down during the coronavirus pandemic. And hearing, you know, and at the time there wasn't a single case in the UK yet. I remember like hearing it and being like, it's a little bit concerning that like a whole entire Italian city has been like shut down. I think it was Milan.
I can remember Italy just going on lockdown and then instantly looking at it and being like, whoa, that is mental.
But I remember thinking in the back of my head, because we'd had various things like growing up over the years. I remember, what were the different ones? Like, was it like bird flu and
mouth?
There was quite a few different little like supposed outbreaks that I remember at the time were sort of sold in the media, like this could be potentially like a global thing, and like nothing really came of it. So I remember hearing it and I was like, okay, I'll keep my eye on the situation, but I doubt it will really lead to anything. But like that's just a good example though, you know, that was my mindset. So that's what I'm saying, like you can see the girl in like the first episode of The Last of Us, and she's like, you know, there's stuff going on in the background. I think it's really clever because she's going about her normal life, isn't she? But you see stuff's happening in the background, and you know, when like those people sort of kick her out of the shop because I guess like the woman in the back room had like heard about what was going on, like some really nitty gritty stuff, and she just sort of like closed the shop and kicked the girl out, and the girl was like, what's going on, you know, like, and you just see stuff going on, and with like that old lady and all that stuff, you know, and
so good.
And then obviously, some really like mental, instant, tragic stuff happens in the first episode. It reminded me a bit of Game of Thrones in that regard, how it's almost like sets up almost like a main character.
It feels like it does that every episode, and there's something brutally like savage every single episode that you're just like, but you're totally invested in the characters.
I'm so invested, and I think Pedro Pascal's such a good actor. Obviously, he's become one of the biggest sort of, at the very least, sort of series actors, isn't he, in the world? I'd say, with obviously the success of like The Mandalorian, and obviously he was Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, and although he wasn't in the show for ages, I think he left quite a big impact because he was a cool character, wasn't he, in Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, and
Narcos too.
Was he the
guy that fought the mountain?
Yeah, I loved him.
And he was like kicking the mountain's ass, to be fair, until the last sort of moment, wasn't he? I think what was his name, like the Sand Snake or something like that, or the Viper? No, the Viper, was that his nickname in it? He was badass anyway, wasn't he? He was almost like
he was one of my favourite. I didn't realise that was Pedro Pascal.
It was Pedro Pascal, and then
Pedro, we love you. Oh, Pedro.
And he obviously classic in The Mandalorian, and just absolutely hits it out the park in The Last of Us, like so good.
Yeah.
Very subtle acting as well. Like he doesn't. There's never a point where you feel like, he's overacted that scene. Like everything he does is like, man, it just feels so realistic. He really is perfect fit for all of those series acting roles that he's done. And
one thing I really liked about it as well is how, you know, like say in episode 3. They almost go off course a little bit, and for like right up until the end of that episode.
Is that the Gay Man episode?
Yeah.
I love the Gay Man episode.
I thought that was one of the best
episodes.
What
was it like Bill and
Jeff or something?
Oh,
Charlie,
can I tell you a little bit about this episode as well? Because
I remember you talking to me about this. Yeah, it was interesting.
In the game, Bill's like a character, but he's a character which roams around with Ellie and Joel. Okay. So he's like with them in the game. Okay. And his partner, I think, is Frank.
Is that his name? Frank? That's it, Frank. Yeah, that's it.
He's only seen once in the game as a corpse.
Right. Okay.
And it's like they split up, and he got bit, like Frank got bit, and then like just offed himself, basically. That was like his story within the game. But from that, there's literally one scene where Joel goes, "Who's that?" And there's like this body in the background. He's like, "That was my partner," is what Bill says. Okay. But they've taken that and built an entire story, which is what episode 3 became.
Yeah.
Man,
in like an amazing way as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the way that this studio has managed to take the story of the game, because the scenes which for example, when Joel and Ellie are in the car, like at certain points, a lot of the scenes are actually shot for shot the exact same
as they were in the game.
Oh, literally,
I've
like
heard
same
that, yeah.
lines,
I've heard
same like camera angles, all that stuff. But then they've also managed to make their own story within it that is just as good.
Yeah, mate, I think it's amazing.
So good.
I loved, as I said, I loved how, because it almost seems a bit random up until the end, doesn't it? Because it's almost like, okay, we're now following this guy. We were following Joel's story, but now we're following this random guy, Bill. And I thought it was like hilarious as well how it starts, and obviously like he's just got that awesome hidden bunker under his house. So like the army obviously are like evacuated essentially by force, like everyone from the town, and he's just the last one there. And then it's like showing him going to the hardware store, like getting all this stuff to fortify his little like village and stuff, and so freaking hilarious. Like, electric fence, all these booby traps and that, and all the CCTV. So he's basically just like living like a don, like hunting venison and that. So he's got all this fresh deer, growing his vegetables. So funny, and then seeing his story develop, but then how at the end it then suddenly ties back in like, oh, okay, so what they've done is it's like they've just added loads more emotion and depth to the story, because it would have been really easy not to do that and to just almost like think that was a waste of time and just have an episode where Joel takes Ellie and they just stumble across that town, and it was like, oh yeah, this is some guy I should know. But because you're suddenly emotionally invested in the character, because they spent like,
you're seeing it in a completely different way.
Because I think that along with the first episode, I think that was the longest episode. So you spent like an hour finding all about these characters, getting invested in them with like little 3-year jumps, and then it's like it's quite emotional by the end.
Bumming by the strawberries.
Bumming by the strawberries. Having a nice little cheeky bum, and then it's like. Yeah, by the time they're there and they're reading the letter and he's left the key to him, and it's great, mate. It's
so emotional.
It's fantastic, And
I still don't know why they didn't take any of the guns or anything.
He did take one of the guns, but I did think
one.
I think that they probably had more guns in the truck, but obviously things went pear-shaped. I was gonna say boobies up, but just to keep it PG. Yeah, because obviously when they went into that place, and I say don't want to give too many spoilers away for people if they haven't noticed yet, but obviously they
super good story.
They plan just to drive the way, but then in the next episode there's a hiccup happens, doesn't it? But do you remember because when the bad people, naughty people in that town, who let's face it though get their comeuppance, when those people sort of like blow out the tires and stuff. I remember when they recover the truck, they say that they had like loads and loads of kit on it.
Right.
So I think
they did take it.
I think you're supposed to think that like Joel probably did have quite a few like weapons in the back, but obviously there's only so much you can carry on foot, isn't there? So I think he just took like a rifle and stuff.
I've seen some cool like stories and stuff about the actual from the directors of each episode. So one of the main things that they're trying to focus on with their theme, like their key theme, is love. But they're trying to focus on with each episode different types of love. So obviously you've got the love between like Joel and his friend in episode 2, and that's why they included. Do you remember the kiss scene? I'm just going to leave it as that. The kiss scene in episode 2 that ends off the episode. That's like real disturbing when you watch it for the first time.
Oh yeah,
that's why.
With the woman, and the way she goes, man, and she blows everything up. Do you remember she blows everything up?
Oh,
you know Joel's girlfriend.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't. I forgot that freaking infected kiss full on snogged her.
But the reason they went for that, is because they wanted to demonstrate the love that almost the fungi was trying to incorporate her into their community. But there's so many weird touches like that, and
that way.
I just thought it was creepy.
That was my thought. It's horrifying when you watch it, isn't it?
Intrusive. Well, it is intrusive.
Yeah, it was very rapey to me.
Yeah, and obviously for a split second, I thought that it was going to be like a really freaking horrible ending, and she wasn't going to be able to light the lighter.
Yeah, me too.
But then when she does, I was like, oh yeah, and it's a real satisfying. Well, like satisfying. Obviously, you're real sad about the fact that she's like not going to make it, but yeah, real satisfying when you suddenly just see the whole like bottom
got the hero's ending.
Yeah, I temporarily forgot a little bit about that last moment where obviously I remembered about her sort of sacrifice, but I forgot the specifics of that infected one.
Yeah, I remember how much
like crazy scene,
forcing a snog on her, because it is a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah. But that seems to be almost like it's weird, isn't it? Because they mainly do it through bite, don't they? But I guess it's because
just that sort of fungi.
When it shows that fungi expert, the lady, is it like Indonesia or Cambodia or something?
So as well.
And it's like, she's the one that first investigates it, and she pulls the sort of the fungus.
That was a great scene, by the way.
I'm just going to change my camera a sec. Right. Carry on talking, but if I'm not on it.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Super dark.
Oh, have you?
Super dark.
Super dark.
Just to make him a bit ominous today. because we're talking about sort of like a more horror-y show. But it's cool because it's like, I mean, I guess you could sort of say that it's like a horror series, but I don't really see it like that.
No.
Because I think the as you said, Bullwinkle, I think the main focus clearly isn't like jump scares or like to make you scared in that way. I think the main thing, the drive, is like is character development and emotion.
Yeah, it's how these characters can get through this situation that they've been put in. And another fact on that same note as well, they actually banned the word zombie. So no one
they call them
at
infected, don't they?
Yeah, even on set, no one was allowed to call them the zombies. Like, it was the cast and everyone. I think
they just call them infected. They just call them infected in the show.
And like,
which I really like.
So, making that thing about being so much like emotionally invested in the characters and all that stuff, like, but then when they do the scenes with like the infected, it is epic as well. So it's like it's
The
such
clickers,
a
man.
perfect, it's such a perfect mixture of it being like epically shot, crazy story, like going for that shock factor of like how crazy it would have been for that, but then also like the amazing storylines as well. It's such a good mixture.
I just realised the last thing you guys would have saw was that real sad end. Let's say we're going to split with that real sad ending
episode.
with that guy and his little brother.
I don't want to die.
Brutal ending.
Man, what was your guys' favourite episode so far? Because I'll just say that was my favourite episode.
Yeah.
Episode 5, I thought was so exceptionally good.
I would say it'd be between that one and the Gay Man episode.
I agree with you.
I love how it's just good. The Gay Man episode. yeah, I know what you mean. That was a fantastic. I think the first episode was fantastic. I think the third episode was fantastic. Well, they're all fantastic, but yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to pick. I think 1, 3, 5 are probably a little bit better than 2 and 4. But the episode that I've seen that you guys haven't seen is
it a banger?
Is an absolute banger. And I won't go into any details about specifics why. But you know, we were talking about in depth of like character development and that. There is more character development with Joel than any other episode in episode 6.
I love Joel.
Nice.
And-
Joel's such a good character.
And you really see a lot. Much more of like a complex. You see how he's much more complex than he maybe appears on the surface. Like as I said,
He's definitely got a big heart, hasn't he?
he has got a big heart, but what you see is more like vulnerability, and you haven't really seen that up until episode 6. All you see is like this gruff, grumpy, old, tortured
Because
soul.
he's been through so much.
Yeah, but what
like-
you see in episode 6 more is how, you know, he's obviously it's very important in life in general, but I think obviously especially like 100 times fold in the world that they're living in, to be sort of tough at all times. But what you see a lot more vulnerability in Joel in episode 6, and I really like that, and the way that they're developing it. And I think it just goes, the thing I think you're supposed to take away from it is that like there's only so much that a human can deal with, and at some stages we all have like our little mini breakdowns if you're like pushed to the limit. And that doesn't mean like, you know, necessarily full breakdown, like, you know, like, oh, you know, you need to be freaking sectioned. I mean like maybe just, you know, sometimes like a panic attack or a 10-minute breakdown. And then it just almost just goes to show like, oh, okay, even if like the toughest person goes through that, then that just goes to show, you know, we are all human.
Everybody's susceptible.
And it just shows, it's showing this like story, this story that he is on, like personally and emotionally, as well as the actual main story plot that's playing out before us. And I really like that. And another thing I think is cool about episode 6 is there's a massive change in scenery, and as a result, it makes a massive contrast, because all the episodes up until episode 6 are all either in like rundown cities or more like sort of Texas environments, aren't they? Like, you know, driving down freeways, but it's more like very almost like that Texas style. You know, it's almost like almost like deserty in a lot of ways. Do you know what I mean? And either that or that sort of rundown.
I like the shot when they
urban.
were in they camped out in the woods. That was pretty cool.
That was a cool shot.
Yeah.
But episode 6 is pretty much all in the snow, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. I can't wait to see it, because I played like an hour worth of The Last of Us when it first came out.
But the game?
Yeah, so
Right.
I knew like the first sort of bit, but we're way past I
It's
ever
made
got
me want
in
to play
game
the
now.
game.
Really good, but it's obviously what I love about the TV series is that you don't get the bits in between, you just get the story. I honestly love the story elements to Last of Us, and even when you're playing the game, you'll notice
it won loads of awards,
how good it is. It won like Game of the Year, Story of the Year, all that kind of stuff.
I remember like had some friends of mine at the time that like had it, and they were like harping to me about how good it was. And I think I even went over like my friend's house, and he was like playing it in front of me, and we were just sort of chilling. I was watching him playing for a bit, and I did think it looked cool, but you know what I mean, I didn't go out and like buy it myself.
It was quite groundbreaking for when it came out. I know Last of Us 2 went on to win like loads of awards as well, and obviously they've extended the Last of Us TV series to have a second season that they've announced. So
it's going to be almost
cool. So the first one is only going to be about the first game, really.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, I assume so.
I like that. Giving you.
They're almost doing the reverse. I know that we were talking before we started the episode about how I played that Telltale Walking Dead series. They're almost like doing that in reverse. Do you know what I mean? So what my point is that obviously they've based the series off the game, and they're doing it. So it's almost like it's almost like, so if the game is almost like a series, then the first game is a series and the second series. So they're doing that in reverse. With that Telltale game series, Walking Dead, they almost did that. So it was like that each like level was like an episode in like a season.
It's good for content, isn't it? Like knowing what to do, just like follow it.
Man.
You know, people gonna love it.
Yeah, and it's like completely different, obviously, because I think nowadays, obviously, like RPGs, like role-playing games, are like pretty massive. Do you know what I mean? And they're really fun,
time-consuming. Yeah, like you've got to give your life to it. Really, you can't just dip in and out. Like, you know.
And they're amazing, but it's almost like those games are a bit daunting.
Yeah,
because it's almost like it's a bit too close to almost like living your real life. As you said, you have to like forge your own stuff, get materials, all this like crazy long storylines, and there's this vast world that it's just fun to just explore, let alone do the levels. Whereas there's something I actually quite like that old school format, and it makes it a lot more bearable in terms of time management if you are like a busy person to just like play a game.
Like you do levels on Sonic.
Yeah.
Like,
you can play Sonic for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's like put it down again. It's like it's fine. You're not like you play a game like Skyrim, you can accidentally get caught up in like making a new sword, and then that's just 20 minutes doing that.
Yeah, if you put 20 minutes into a game like Skyrim, you'll probably not be very far from when you started, would you? It would almost be pointless.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So that's what it's almost like why it's easy not to play games like that.
It's cool to see someone finally do a video game adaptation well. Because I know, obviously, you guys are like fans of The Witcher, aren't you?
Yeah,
because they made the Netflix series of The Witcher. Was that like really good? Because I heard that as it went on, it got a bit worse, and they stopped paying attention to the actual.
Well, there's a lot of controversy at the moment, isn't there? With Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
and apparently there's like mixed reports, but I think that the main gist seems to be that Henry was getting increasingly frustrated because he's like a massive fantasy nerd. And it's one of the reasons I'm a real big fan of Henry Cavill, because I'm a massive fantasy nerd as well. But he's also just like a right gent, and he's like, you know, into the gym and stuff like me. So I feel like he's sort of like a bro, even though I've never met him. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we'd have like a lot in common. But he was like a real stickler for like we need to stick to the source material. Whereas it seemed like the people that were like, you know, the producers and the directors and the writers of the show weren't really that bothered, and they almost like thought that they knew better. Yeah. And I knew that was really frustrating.
This is what's going to get the views.
Yeah, but that's
he's like
stupid,
left it now, hasn't he?
He's just
because of that reason.
Yeah, and there's like loads of people are like bringing in petitions and stuff to like try and bring him back, but I don't think it's going to work. I think it's pretty much...
Yeah, because what people were saying is that if they did stick, if they were purely invested in what the actual story was, like he would have stayed for 12 seasons. That's what
he said right at the beginning, didn't he, that if it strayed from the source material, that he probably wasn't going to do it because it was like really important for him. Because I think he's almost like built up like I wouldn't go as far as to say as they're friends, but I know that the guy that wrote the books, which obviously the games are based on as well, he's like really fond of Henry Cavill,
right?
And I know he's even gone on record to say he really likes Henry Cavill's interpretation of Geralt, but he's not really a fan of the series. Right. The only thing he's really a fan of is Henry Cavill as Geralt, and that he said that like he almost like is like just spot on. Like he thinks he's awesome, and I remember he even made the comparison between like Viggo Mortensen and Aragorn, and said like, you know how like Viggo, it's almost like he did such a good job. You think of Aragorn now, you think of Viggo Mortensen, and he said that's how almost like he sees Henry Cavill, which is a massive compliment from Henry Cavill. I mean, I imagine as an actor, to hear that by the guy that writ the character, you must be like, cool. Mate, that's like mission accomplished, man.
Yeah. Shows how much respect they have for each other as well, which is cool to see.
Oh yeah, and it's really nice actually, and really refreshing that Henry Cavill is that respectful as well to the source material. But yeah, just to answer your question, like going back to the original point, Bullwinkle, like Yeah. Do I think it's a really good interpretation of The Witcher and like worth watching? Yeah. Obviously, up till now, we've obviously only had 2 seasons, and I know the third one's out quite soon, and it's obviously sadly going to be the last season with Henry Cavill before I believe Liam Hemsworth is going to take over, isn't it? Which is obviously Chris Hemsworth's brother.
So many good boobies in it as well, man.
Oh, that's Charlotte's, what's her face? The one that plays Yennefer. Yeah. Yeah. That mean that's
and that pig hog guy in his mansion. I love that episode.
Yeah, that was good.
So good.
That's the actor that played him was the same actor that played what was his name? Something Giantsbane. You know the ginger, the red-headed wildling in Game of Thrones. That really fancied Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah.
What was his name? It was something Giantsbane. What was his name? I can't remember. I'm sure
he was cool anyway.
Yeah, he was cool, man. I'm really annoyed that I can't remember his name though. I'm really kind of it. But it's good.
Welcome to my world.
Man. I think The Witcher is really good though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, man. It's been one of my favourite things to watch. Like,
but I do think it is a bit of like a concern, like say in terms of going forward, like if Henry's left.
Yeah,
like,
I'm just gutted about that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, because I know it's the guy that I've seen the guy who's going to replace him,
Liam Hemsworth.
And I'm like. Cool. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'm
it's
just really not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to watch it or not. You know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I might watch season 4. Like, I'll probably check it out, but I know I don't want to speak too soon. But I know I probably won't enjoy it as much. I think the same thing a little bit about for anybody that's like seen those old school Spartacus. I say old school. Old school's relative. I mean, I sort of see it
that was
as
a really
like
sad
still
story, wasn't
quite
it?
modern.
Did he die or something?
Andy, what was his name?
Louder.
Andy Loudon, that's my name. Yeah, that's a family friend. Yeah, there was that real good show called Spartacus Blood and Sand. There were like each season had like a different name, so it was like I think it was like Spartacus Blood and Sand, Spartacus like God of War, or something. Maybe it might not be God of War. I might just be saying that because of the game God of War. But
which would be another. Imagine a God of War series. By the way, that would be so cool. God of War would be.
I reckon someone like Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, would play that awesome.
Man, imagine that.
That'd be good because he's bold anyway, and he's just a big, jack, gnarly dude.
Yeah,
and he's always got a scowl on his face. That'd be quite cool. Yes, I'm just gonna look that up. But yeah, the guy that played Spartacus, it came out I think late, probably it says here 2010 it came out Spartacus, and I remember I loved that.
Me too, man.
Absolutely loved that, and that had a pretty good cast. It had like people like Lucy Lawless.
I always loved like Brutus in it. Was he called Brutus?
Brutus.
There was one of the gladiators. Was he called Brutus or
Crixus was my favourite.
Yeah, that might be it. Not Brutus.
He was the one that had he
had dark hair.
Yeah.
That one.
He was a bit more like aggro and grumpy.
Yeah. He was a really cool character.
I thought that you would have liked...
He carried on for all of the series, didn't he?
I thought you would have liked Gannicus the most.
He
had like long hair.
Yeah, I remember him
fought
kind
with 2
of,
swords.
but I definitely remember Crixus more.
They were like the 3 best fighters. Was Gannicus, Crixus, and Spartacus. Crixus was like the original champion when Spartacus came, didn't he? And then they had that 2-way fight against that massive like ogre man thing. Do you remember? And Crixus got a bit effed up. And then I think the second series is like a prequel. It's like it happened before Spartacus joined, and that's when it shows the story of Gannicus and how Gannicus was like the number 1, and then Crixus came in. Quite interesting how they did it like that. I wonder why. I wonder if it was like something to do with Andy. What was his name?
Louder.
Andy Louder. Yeah, I'll try and find out his name a minute, like the guy that played him, because I know it was Andy something, but I keep wanting to say Andy Serkis, but that's the guy that plays Gollum in Lord of the Rings. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying?
Andy Spartacus.
Huh?
Just Andy Spartacus.
Andrew Spartacus. Let me just try and
Born
find
for the
his
role,
name.
he was.
Yeah.
Born for the role.
Andrew Spartacus. Spartacus was a Thracian gladiator. I'm pretty sure Thrace is in like modern day Greece. It was a Thracian gladiator who, along with Crixus, because Crixus was a Gaul, wasn't he? Which would be like modern day like France. Yeah. So it's obviously
that's a Gaul.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a Gaul, not a Gaul. Gannicus was a Celtic slave. Oh, cool. So Gannicus was almost like from like the UK or something.
Nice.
Onomaeus, he was like the big black dude that was like the trainer. Do you remember him? He was a cool character, wasn't he? What was his name? Andy. I'm just going to put Spartacus Andy. Spartacus.
Maybe his name's not even Andy.
I'm pretty sure it is Andy.
I love that you know that it's Andy, not Andrew as well.
Andy Whitfield.
There you go.
Yeah, he sadly got cancer like during the first season, and then he like passed away. Obviously, like I think by the end of like the second season or third season or something, so they had to get a new actor in. But yeah, getting back to my original point, like obviously with Henry Cavill bowing out and then Liam Hemsworth taking over, it's nothing against the guy that took over, but if a guy
Not the same.
if a guy does a role and he nails it and you love the performance and you get invested in the show, you get all that, like, you know, well, let's face it, like as human beings, it's like when you meet someone in real life, you meet them and you take in everything about that person, all the nuances, the slight unique ways that they structure their sentences and like that use facial expressions and just like the look of them, the height of them, everything. But everyone's got their own unique aura. And even if you have like a good actor, Liam McIntyre was a guy that took over, I can see on the screen. Like I say, it's nothing against him, but like let's face it, it's like when he takes over and they're just playing it like he's Spartacus. But in my head, I'm like, that's not Spartacus.
I even felt
Spartacus was Andy Whitfield.
Yeah, man, definitely. I even felt it with the I think I've mentioned it before with the newer Game of Thrones one, that with the girl when she gets older and they just change the actor, and I'm like, you should have just made her look
that
older.
really annoyed me.
I was so invested in her character.
You were a bit too invested, mate.
Little bit too invested. Definitely went on and just checked her age on Google.
Yeah, she's 21, guys.
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
it's fine.
But I think she played quite a young role in it. But you know, I reckon they could have made her look older, like you know, and
100%.
stuff. And
as I said, also
she was such a good actor for it. As
also,
well,
if she was
actress.
like, if she was 21, I can't remember if she was 21 when it came out or 21 when she'd filmed it. But either way, right? If she was like 21, let's just say she was 21, right? Let's face it, it's not going to be like 2024 until the next one's out anyway.
Yeah.
So she's naturally going to age. That's just season 2.
And
If
also,
they carry
she
on
was
for
only like 30 something. She was like in her early 30s.
The actress that took over was like our age or something. So it's like,
yeah, she wouldn't have changed that much in that time.
Even though it is almost a bit funny in a way, I actually think it's really good that, say, in the series like Vikings, they have the same actors throughout. The only time they changed an actor was in the jump from Bjorn as a little boy to being like 18 or something. But that was like for obvious reasons, because you can't make like a freaking 5'6" boy suddenly like a 6'3" bloke.
Yeah, and I think it was almost like comical, like how much he'd grown as well. So it was just like, whoa, this guy, he's just become a man now.
But also it's realistic, because when you're suddenly like supposed to be jumping something like, I don't know, like 8 years, the difference between, say, a 10-year-old guy, a 10-year-old boy, and an 18-year-old man, young man, is rapid. Like the difference. If you guys saw a picture of me,
been covered, is it?
if you saw me when I was 10 compared to when I was 18, it would be like comical. When I was 10, I was like a chubby little boy with a gelled up quiff, and when I was 18, I was like quite like a big dude. Do you know what I mean? Like quite like a big fella. Like probably similar to how I am now, but just leaner. Sadly for me now. But yeah. So it was really good how in the Vikings, they just, I said, even though it was a bit comical, in the last season with like, say, Lagertha, she's supposed to be like in her 70s or 80s or something, and they've got her like, they're giving her like grey hair, haven't they? And you can tell they've given her makeup to make her look older.
It made it though, man. It made it.
But in my opinion as well, like, look, just use a bit of imagination.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, look, I know that it's not necessarily really realistic that this beautiful young woman, Catherine Winnick, is like 85 or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, you've given her grey hair. You've put in a couple of like wrinkle lines in.
I still love seeing that. That's Lagertha.
I get the picture.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And to me, as I was saying, like by that point, Catherine Winnick was Lagertha. So if they just brought it out and then suddenly had like Helen Mirren playing it or something, do you know what I mean? It would just be a bit like random. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It would almost seem a bit like bit weird.
It always
particularly if it's serialized. Like if each episode goes on or each series goes on, it's a completely different person. Just completely takes away from it. You can get away with it almost a little bit.
Yeah.
If it's like a completely new adaptation, like a new Batman or something like that, you can kind of get away with that. It's like a full new style.
I think you understand.
But,
you understand that like a guy signs on for like a certain amount of Batman films, like Christian Bale did or Michael Keaton did. You respect the fact that, okay, like this is their series of films, and it's always tied in with like a certain director, isn't it? So with like Michael Keaton, it was Tim Burton, so it had that real gothic style and everything with, you know, the music and everything, and just how it was that almost like that black and white style of Tim Burton, and then
Christian Bale of Christopher Nolan.
Exactly, and it was like this unique style between the lead actor and the director, and that's what makes the sort of the flavour of the movie, and they have their very own unique feels, and it's just like different cool adaptations, and obviously different people have their preferences of what, but yeah, that's easy to follow, isn't it? And then, like, you know, obviously like Ben Affleck did a couple ones and stuff like that, and then most recently, what's his name, Patterson, you know,
Robert Patterson.
Twilight, Twilight, that's imagine that was just his name, you know, Twilight.
Robert Twilight
Yeah,
Patterson.
I haven't seen many of the Batmans.
Drew Batman.
My favourite ones are always probably just because it was like
Spider-Man.
came out in when I was a kid.
Superman.
But like Batman Forever and that, you know, or Batman Forever.
Oh,
with,
you're
like,
going
yeah,
Val Kilmer.
man, I love those ones.
Well, yeah, that is actually, I think that's an underrated movie because that's considered one of the worst, like in terms of like critical acclaim, like Rotten Tomatoes and all that.
Is that the one with the
Val
penguin in?
Kilmer? No. That's Batman Returns.
I like that one and Batman Forever.
So the first two films are the original ones, which really, at the time, people don't even necessarily appreciate nowadays how pivotal those movies are, because that was the first Michael Keaton and Tim Burton Batman movie was the first superhero movie that was like genuinely good. Like that you could watch even today and think, this is a really good movie. You know, whereas every attempt beforehand, they tried to make like a Captain America movie in the 80s and some other movies, and they were just like camp and silly. It was almost just like
These were gritty, weren't they? Like
super gritty, yeah, and just very well acted. The Batman suits were designed perfectly.
I loved his car.
The score, yeah, the car was cool. Kim Basinger was in it, who was just an absolute babe. Jack Nicholson played the Joker, who some people still to this day think that Jack Nicholson was the best Joker. Great performance by Jack Nicholson, great performance by Michael Keaton, and by, you know, Kim Basinger was great in it. Really good stuff. Yeah, the second one, Batman Returns, that was the last Tim Burton, Michael Keaton one. That had Danny DeVito as the Penguin, some other cool characters in it as well. Oh,
Catwoman.
Yeah, Catwoman, who was played by...
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah, as I like to call her. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, who's a good actress. In fact, funnily saying that, I went and saw Ant-Man Quantumania the other day, and she's obviously in that. She plays Janet Van Dyne, Hope Van Dyne's mum, and Hank Pym's missus. But yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, I think was just like... Both Kim Basinger and Michelle Pfeiffer, they were almost like staples of so many good 80s and 90s movies. Do you know what I mean? Just like really
think of many other, like, off the top of my head, but
just like beautiful women that are like really good actresses that were in loads of movies in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, like Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm trying to think. She was the main character in Lady Hawk, which is what which is what our intro.
Oh
music.
yeah, I still need to watch that
on the
now.
radio anyway. For people that listen to Spotify and YouTube, we obviously not only do we play some songs in between like chatting on the show, but we also have like an intro that we only play on the radio. And it's this score by this composer called Andrew Powell, and it's was made for the movie Lady Hawk, which is like a really good 80s fantasy movie. If you like fantasy movies, go check out Lady Hawk. Although saying that, I tried to find it, didn't I, last time you stayed over my house?
Yeah.
You can't find it on Amazon. Like, even if you want to pay for it, you can't find it on Amazon, Netflix,
I wonder if
YouTube,
it exists.
anything.
I think what's that thing? The Mandela effect.
Yeah. Maybe you just made it up in your mind.
Even though there's actually like a score for it and everything.
Yeah.
Or is there?
Yeah. Maybe only you can hear it.
Imagine if I just like made up this whole movie in my head.
I mean, you always say that someone's playing at the start of the thing, but I can't hear it. It's just
Yeah.
I hear you just going,
Welcome to Pandoras Box. Yeah, just mate, I wouldn't even be surprised, man. My brain's a bit of a weird place to be. But yeah. Then the third movie, that was Batman Forever. That had suddenly because it was just a 2-movie contract with Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. Val Kilmer came in as Batman, and I believe the guy that was the director was like Joel Schumacher or something, or Schumacher.
I don't think I've seen
Sounds
that one.
about right.
You have that. You just said it's the one that's your favourite one. Yeah. So
Is that the one with
Robin? That's the first one. That's
right. Yeah, man,
and that's
love that one.
And yeah. So that's Batman Forever, and that's the main antagonist is the Riddler, but the Two-Face is in it as well. And Two-Face is played by...
Is it Jim Carrey's in it?
Jim Carrey plays the Riddler fantastically.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones plays Two-Face, Harvey Dent, and you've got but you see Robin for the first time, and I think that I actually think that's a good movie, and I really like I thought the music for that movie was really good because. In my opinion, one of the best ever U2 songs were written for that movie. That dun 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 dun. And also, a lot of people don't know this, but "Kissed by a Rose" was on the official soundtrack for Batman Forever, and was even played in the movie because the main like love interest in Batman Forever is I can't remember the name of the actual character's name, but it's played by Nicole Kidman. You know. So yeah, there's actually a really good music video you can watch of like Batman Forever. Like the music video to "Kissed by a Rose" is like just like different clips of Batman Forever, and it's like emphasizing the love between Bruce Wayne and whoever
between Bat and Woman.
Between Bat and Woman, yeah. And then you have the fourth Batman movie, which in my opinion is by far the worst, which has got George Clooney as Batman. For some reason, it just seems really cheesy.
That one.
It's all right, mate. I think it's still worth a watch.
What's the one with Iceman and?
That's it.
That's the comically bad one, isn't it? I've always known that's bad.
You know it's bad if Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the movie, and I still think it's the worst Batman movie because I love Arnie.
I swear he's just like been given the go-ahead or just been given the script to just read like ice puns throughout the whole movie. So like every time he does something, he's like, "Stay cool, be cold," like everything. It's so funny.
They're not even good puns. I remember there's this one scene when he breaks into a room and he's like, "What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age." And then he starts like shooting everything with his ice gun and like freezing everything. And also, that's not even true because that's not even what killed the dinosaurs. But but it's quite good in some respects. Like Uma Thurman's in that one. I mean, she's like the main character in like Kill Bill and stuff like that. And she's a great actress, I think. And she plays Poison Ivy, right? And she knocks it out of the park. So there are some good things that redeeming features about the movie. I think Uma Thurman, to be fair. Great portrayal of Poison Ivy. There's also Bane is in that movie, and it's a completely different depiction from Tom Hardy's Bane in the Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Because in the one with George Clooney and Uma Thurman and that, he's more just like a massive monster. Like whereas Bane in the Christopher Nolan ones is
more intelligent.
He's quite eloquent, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like you're like
I was born in the darkness.
Yeah, that was a good impression, man. Whereas in the one with George Clooney, he's more just like, and he was played by this like giant, but it's quite good in terms of like practical effects, because obviously a lot of the times in comic book movies they usually rely on like CGI or like big suits, whereas they hired this like massive strong man who was like 6'8" and just absolutely massive to play Bane, and he just wore this mask and. He was just this imposing guy. Do you know what I mean? Just sort of made him a bit of like have like a green tint and almost like drew all these like black veins on him just to make him look a bit nuts. So it was like actually like a real just massive dude. So yeah, that was the George Clooney one, and I think that pretty much killed the Batman franchise for about 10 years, or maybe even longer, maybe like 15 years until they started up again with Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan. And yeah, I mean, just hitting it out the park. I think actually my favorite Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan Batman movie is actually the first one.
I think. Do you know what? Unpopular opinion. This is actually a very unpopular opinion.
You like the last one?
I like the last one.
Yeah.
The one with Bane. I think it's such a good movie, but it always gets more hate than the others.
I think I've only seen the first one.
They're my favourite Batmans.
With Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson and that.
Yeah, Christian Bale's my favourite actor.
I love him as well. He's one of my favourites.
Yeah,
as well,
it's cool to see like him take on a role like that, which is like so different to some of the other stuff he's done.
Have you seen
so cool.
Equilibrium?
No.
Man, that is a Christian Bale movie. It's epic.
It's on my list in Netflix. You can make like a list.
Yeah, man, that's such a good movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those almost.
That was one of his big breakthrough movies.
Was it?
Yeah, because that was only like 98 or something that came out, and he wasn't that well known then, mate. He wasn't that well known at the time.
It was one of those ones that I just randomly saw at some point, and I was like, "This is epic."
I think that was like the movie he did about the same time as American Psycho, and those were the sort of movies that put him on the map.
Yeah.
And then by the time and he did quite a lot of different stuff, but was never sort of like the main character. Well, obviously he was the main character in the both of those movies, but I don't think he had like a big role again, like a number one role, probably until about Batman, and that's when he became like one of the A-listers. Because now he's like
Christian Bale.
Because now he's like considered one of the best actors on the planet. I'd say, wouldn't you?
I'd agree 100%. Especially because of his body transformations, man. The stuff that you see this guy go through, where he'll be huge in one video, in one film.
Next year,
the next he's just like
apparently he put on like
skin and bones.
100 pounds to play Batman. Because he came out. What was that movie he did? Wasn't The Pianist, that was with a different guy, wasn't it? But
I know that I'll get up the
he starred
the
in
one
a
where
movie.
he's literally really skinny, right?
But like I'm talking like Auschwitz like
Yeah.
like concentration camp skinny.
Yeah.
Like he must have actually in real life been
He must have been
ill.
in danger.
Yeah, he must have been in danger, man. He
100%.
must have like his organs must have almost been failing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got the role of Batman, and then obviously like he was
Yeah, that was the one where it was a year later as well. It
yeah,
was like,
and he was basically told that obviously he has to be like jacked and in good shape and athletic for the Batman movie. So he just went on this like massive like diet of just like this muscle
The
building diet.
Machinist.
Yeah, that's it. Or was it the Machinist?
Well, either.
I think
Same thing. The Machinist, probably. Yeah.
I mean,
55 kg he was.
and
That
did
was
you?
in 55
55 kg. That's
So he-
shocking. That's
Man.
that's like 10 kilos
That
lighter
was
than.
that was me in year like 9 or something.
Mate, that's like 10 kilos lighter than Nicky C.
And then Batman Begins is the next year, and he's 86 kg, and he's just pure muscle.
What's
It's
the one where
ridiculous.
he was really fat? Was it a series?
That's
Vice?
American Hustle.
Oh,
And that
right.
was in 2013, but he was 94 kg, which actually that may not have been the one. There's one where he's even bigger than that, I'm
there's
pretty
one
sure.
in where he's in the hundreds, and it was like Vice or something. I swear it was like it might have even been a series, but I looked at it and it doesn't even look like Christian Bale.
Yeah,
he's
I
like
think
an older man.
it is Vice, yeah.
Vice,
That's
and
cool,
and,
man.
and it's like and he just looks like fat and bold and like old, fat
Fat and
old.
bold and old. Yeah, that's interesting. Man.
I've never watched a Christian Bale movie and not enjoyed it. Like I watched recently Empire of the Sun, which is like his
Oh, right.
first ever movie when he was like, he must have been like 10 or even younger, like the Steven Spielberg movie.
I haven't seen it, but I
but
know which one you're about. Yeah.
It's funny to see, like, I was reading some facts about it, and it's funny to see because Steven Spielberg specifically like, asked for him to audition because I think the woman that Steven Spielberg was with at that time, I don't know if he was always with her, if he's still with her, but she'd worked with Christian Bale as a kid, like, on some other kind of thing. Where,
It's
like,
crazy that he was into acting since he was like younger than
Exactly.
10.
Yeah,
You see
exactly.
that often with like some of the bigger actors though. It is like a lifelong thing. Like I remember like like Sarah Michelle Gellar, who obviously is real famous for like Buffy and that. Which to this day is I would still say is one of the biggest and most influential television series of all time. Like there are people that still go to Comic-Con every year just to like say
was that not
see
based?
the cast
Was
of
it
Buffy.
not based on something like Buffy?
There was a movie, but it didn't do that good. That came out about
okay.
3 years before the television series.
Yeah, because it's super renowned, isn't it? I didn't know if it
I
was
think
based
it might
on a
have
set
been
of comics.
I think
or
it might have
something,
been
or-
based. I know there is a comic, but I don't know what came first: the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
The comic or the television
comic
series.
or the Buffy.
The
Yeah,
eternal
yeah.
question.
But she was like that. Like you can watch some like there's like adverts. You can watch them on YouTube, man. There's like Burger King adverts from like 1985, and it's like Sarah Michelle Gellar when she was like 6, and she's like, you know what I mean, doing adverts.
Still a really good actor.
Yeah, she's like a lifelong actress. But you can see it. Like think about the Stranger Things cast. Like how young were they when they started?
Have you seen?
I'm
the
sure at least a
Stranger
couple of
Things
them.
girl now?
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's freaky.
I
She
just
looks
looked at
too.
that
She looks
picture.
too womanly.
Yeah, and she got massive boobs and there was just this picture on Instagram, and I was like, no, that's not the same one. And I showed Meg, and she was like, whoa.
Yeah, it almost freaked me out how like feminine she looks now, because it's like you think of Millie Bobby Brown, you think of like a kid.
Yeah.
And it's almost a bit weird, isn't it, seeing like a like someone come of age like
Full-grown
that.
woman.
Yeah,
Like,
Like,
that's it.
Jesus.
That's the only problem with Stranger Things. She's now going to have to go back to the next series and be like 15 or like... I
gonna
don't
have
know
to, like-
how old they are.
they're
They
gonna
might
have to,
even be
like-
like 14 in the actual like
Think
lore
I'll have
of
to chat
Stranger
them
Things.
off.
Well, I think they must have in the last season. They must have like full on taped them
Yeah,
down, man. But
yeah.
it must be quite uncomfortable, dude. I imagine. Do you know what I mean? Imagine like someone like taping your balls up, like putting on like such a ridiculous tightly pair of pants that you can't even see your bulge.
Yeah,
That's
man.
like the equivalent, you know.
I heard total change in subject.
Total recall.
But you know your balls.
I am familiar with them.
You know, like talking about hormones and that. You know, we've
been talking about we've been talking about our gonads and private, private.
and just like
our privates and
hormones
private
and stuff like that. I was hearing about and vitamins and stuff and vitamins.
Talking
and
about
stuff
yeah.
like that. And
Me
I was
and Drew
gonna
have a
a- and I was
weekly
gonna
meet-up
I was going to
in
ask you
secret.
about this.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a good thing that I was hearing about someone who took testosterone or got testosterone replacement
therapy, TRT.
Yeah, because they were just it was
Had low
diminishing in
testosterone,
it, and then
yeah.
just like felt like amazing,
Yep.
completely mental clarity, mental health, all that
Yep.
stuff completely turned around, felt amazing.
Yep.
But as soon as that happens, you stop producing sperm.
testosterone.
Stop producing your own testosterone, but also stop producing sperm completely.
Nah, that's not the case, man.
For this guy it was anyway, and they were talking about it, and
it would actually usually increase your sperm count.
No, because basically what they were saying is he might have been taking the wrong one or something, but like they were talking about it, and this happens a lot apparently within TRT. Is apparently because your sperm and your testosterone are both made in your balls. Yeah. Once you start getting that from an external source,
your testosterone shuts down.
Start saying, but because it shuts down, it stops the sperm count as well. So it actually shuts down the production of sperm, and that went completely.
But that would only be if he stopped taking testosterone.
Yeah, no, when he was taking testosterone.
That's something unique to that guy. That's not normal.
Well, there were these two like professionals talking about it, and they were saying that is like that is kind of what happens a lot.
I obviously
because after 6 years of doing it, he did his sperm count and it was 0. And they were saying, and
what
the
he
other
was
guy,
still taking TRT.
Yeah,
are you 100% on that?
Yeah. So he wanted to come off it and he wanted to change it to basically restart up the thing.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it does work because he went on a different kind of thing, and it basically started up the factory again.
I obviously haven't seen what you've seen.
I'll have to show you after, man. But this guy. He's got this company called Biohacks. It's like a multi-million company, and they were talking about it. So he obviously does know what he's talking about with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I haven't seen it.
He was explaining that it doesn't have to always be like that. Like you can go on certain TRT replacement things that where you don't actually shut down your sperm count and stuff. But fertility-wise, apparently that's a big thing. Like it shuts it down.
Yeah, I know that some people would take testosterone actually to increase their fertility, so it's more like they can get their partner pregnant. So this is what I know of say like TRT, and why say I wouldn't take it at least until I'm a lot older. TRT is good in terms of from the age of 40 onwards. You lose, every man, regardless of health, will lose about 1% of testosterone a year, which might not sound a lot, but then you think, if you make it to 70, that's a 30% reduction. That's massive. But obviously there are certain reasons why you could be younger than 40 and your testosterone wouldn't be up to scratch. And let's face it as well, just like women's hormones, I think, people think about like women and periods and stuff, and they think, it's much more obvious and common to think about women's hormones fluctuating, but male hormones fluctuate all the time too. It can even be affected by things like sleep, diet, etc., how much you work out, things like that. So your hormones do fluctuate. There are different medical conditions and certain reasons why a man might not have maybe an adequate testosterone level in their body, and usually a man will have anywhere between a 1-to-1, but anywhere between a 1-to-1 and a 4-to-1 testosterone to epitestosterone level in their body, whereas a woman will have a 1-to-1 testosterone to epitestosterone level in their body, which basically means they have the same amount of estrogen as they have testosterone. A lot of people think that women don't have testosterone. They do. They actually have just as much testosterone as they have estrogen. It's just that men have anywhere between, as I said, the same, 50%, 50-50, right through to 4 times the amount of testosterone. And you can even sort of, you could sort of like guess that with people. So in general, what does testosterone do? Usually makes you larger, more muscular, more hairy. That's basically the difference between men and women, just in a nutshell. And these things are all caused by testosterone. So usually if you see a really big, hairy, muscular guy that's got quite a thick set of bones, he's probably be more likely to be on the 3-to-1, 4-to-1 level than say like a smaller, frailer guy that finds it hard to grow body hair. Now obviously how much testosterone you have in your body will be linked to how naturally fertile you are. If you do have a hard time conceiving a child, there is probably something wrong obviously going on with your hormones, if it's not a problem that's due to your missus, that is. So a lot of people are on TRT, and usually that's monitored to make sure that your testosterone levels don't go
exceed
too over the top. I actually am, even though I'm very anti like steroids and stuff like that in terms of like sports and even just like recreationally, I think it would do you more harm than good. I am actually a believer in TRT. If you have like an issue, like a medical issue, or maybe if you're aging, because even things like declining testosterone levels in men can even do things like increase the likelihood of heart attacks. Will obviously, make your muscle mass decrease. Can even affect I know we've talked about it a bit before on the podcast before. Can even affect like your mental health.
Yeah, that's the most
depression, anxiety.
What I thought about it, I was like, whoa, this actually makes a huge difference, because people that had done it were saying like, oh, I feel myself again. Yeah, and just feel normal baseline. You know, of like.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times they say. I mean, as I said, we did talk about it on the pod before, but like, it's really linked. And sometimes if you feel like you've lost your spring in your step and you're a male, and you suffer maybe from anxiety or depression and you never used to, I'm not saying this is the cause, but the cause might be something to do with your testosterone and your hormone levels. So maybe go check that out. Obviously, you can get like a blood test or whatever and get these things sorted out. Obviously, I haven't done it myself, so I don't know. I assume it's a blood test. You might have to like jizz in a cup or something. I don't know. But yeah, the reason why you need to be very serious about going on TRT before you go on TRT is because once you start taking it,
there's no going back.
Your body will shut down.
Yeah,
your testicles will shut down its natural production of testosterone, which means for the rest of your life you'll have to be on TRT.
Yeah.
Which means that if you for some reason can't be on TRT anymore, you're going to have even less testosterone than you did beforehand, which is obviously sketchy. But I've never heard anything about it affecting your fertility.
Depending on how long you use testosterone replacement therapy, which dose you're taking, your sperm count could completely zero out. Wow. It's common for men on TRT to experience significantly diminished fertility and to struggle with conceiving due to low or zero sperm count. That's like apparently because it exactly what you said about your balls is what produces your testosterone. It's also what produces your sperm. So if you're getting it from an outside source, it just thinks that it just needs to close down.
That's why I asked though, that, like, if it's caused by then like coming off it, because obviously
it's when it's the act of it's like that. Yeah, that's your factory. Your factory doesn't need to produce testosterone anymore, and as a side thing of that, it doesn't produce.
That's
sperm
interesting
either.
though, isn't it? Because I would have just thought that, and it's funny because I've never actually heard that before. I've never heard that because I guess aware of just being I'm into working out and things like that, and also
probably not mention it, or I don't know. Like,
I guess I've looked at it more from like a performance standpoint, like do you know what I mean? But and also I think you've got to know the reasons why not to take something. So I've looked into steroids a lot over the years because in gym culture, a lot of people take steroids, and a lot of people have told me over the years that I should take steroids. So I had to research it a lot to know whether I wanted to or not. Yeah. And to me, to be honest, I never even really came close, to be honest. I never thought about it seriously. But obviously, it's good to look into things to make a decision. In my opinion, it's almost like, it's like deciding to buy like a guitar pedal or something. Yeah. It's like, is it worth the investment? And then it's like you look it up and you think, okay, well, yeah, it will make me basically a monster, and it'll make me stronger,
but
and
there'll be these side
faster,
effects.
and but. I could get acne, my balls are going to shrink, I could end up with liver damage, I could end up with kidney damage, I could end up with heart damage, and then to me, I'm almost just like, nah. Do you know what I mean? Like, what, to just be more jacked? Do you know what I mean? And like stronger. It's like, I know I've talked about it before, but I'd rather just reach my upper limit naturally, and then you could, in my opinion, you can be more proud of that. Anyway, because it's like, if I reach my new limit, I'm like, this is my genetic potential, regardless of what that is, regardless of how impressive that is or isn't to the outside world, at least I can hold my head up high and say I've done all of these things naturally. Whether as I said, I've done like 260 kilo squat, 150 kg for 10 reps, 180 kilos for 5 reps on the squat. Now obviously if you're talking about like world record like power lifters, then that's not loads because those are like the genetic elite mixed with gear, let's face it. But as we were listening to a Jocko Willink podcast on the way back from Kent the other day, and I can I'm like stronger than Jocko, who in himself is a really strong guy and was like the head of a freaking Navy SEALs team, So like it's enough that I'm proud of it, and it's enough that people that lift themselves, the average person will go like, whoa, that's a lot of weight. For anybody that's tried to maybe go in the gym and maybe someone can deadlift, I don't know, 100 kilos, 120 kilos, 140 kilos, maybe even 180 kilos. Like, how that feels, and that feels pretty heavy. So you can appreciate the strain and the struggle it took me to get to the point where I could even deadlift 260 kilos, or deadlift 240 kilos for 4 reps, which I've done before, or anything like that, Yeah, so I just think to me that's more important. But yeah, getting back to your original point, I've never actually heard that about shutting down your production. One thing I am interested in, maybe the people I heard it from were just ill-informed or something. But I know for a fact I've heard of people going on TRT to try and conceive a child before. Maybe there is a short-term gain before the long-term loss. Yeah, I don't know,
because that was over like 6 years. Apparently, it was just complete zero count. And this is what my question was, which I thought it was interesting, because basically the reason it shut down is because your body thought it did not need to produce it because it was getting it from an outside source. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking with things like vitamins and stuff, like taking like high doses of vitamin D. I was like, is there any correlation with that as well? Does your body stop producing the things that you take as a supplement because it knows that
No,
it doesn't
because your
have
body
to?
doesn't naturally produce vitamin D. Your body naturally produces testosterone.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was like worried about like if you're taking something from an outside source, that's basically giving your body the signal that it doesn't have to produce that
But
itself.
think about it. Your body cannot tell the difference between taking in vitamin D from a pill or taking it in from sunlight or taking it in from a food source because your body doesn't produce vitamin D.
So it's the things like hormones and stuff like that. It's because your body creates that itself.
Yeah. So as I said, there are certain functions obviously in the body like testosterone. It's like we basically have like a testosterone making factory. So it's like almost like you start supplementing with testosterone and bringing in an outside source of testosterone. Obviously that would never happen in nature. So it's a really unnatural thing to do. You start doing that, your body's going to shut down your testosterone production. I think it's really interesting, and I really wouldn't have thought this was the case. So I think that's a really interesting point. As I said, I would never have imagined in a million years. Like it seems obvious to me that once you stop taking testosterone, come off TRT, because I've known ever since I've known about anything to do with this stuff that obviously if you come off it, one of the reasons why I wouldn't ever do it, apart from all the negative health side effects and that, is that you basically have to do it for the rest of your life, because then you come off, you're going to be subnormal, you're going to be subnatural.
So you basically got to do it.
Yeah,
forever.
so I'd rather be like this than like that and then like this, you know.
Yeah, because I was looking into it. I was like, I want to find out.
But what I find interesting, is that you could still be on testosterone. So so you could still be like jacked and like doing great in the gym, but that your sperm count would low, or like you almost become sterile.
Like what you say about the factory thing, it's just because they're linked. You know, the fact of making testosterone is the same. It's like it's the same function as making sperm.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, like, but that usually the negative side effects come when you come off it. But what you've obviously told me is that the negative side effects in terms of sperm. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're saying, but I would have thought that because you're still taking it in from the outside source, your body would still be able to make sperm.
The outside source is here, but the factory's over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I thought that your body would have been able to use the sperm, the testosterone, to run the sperm.
Oh, yeah.
To run the sperm section of the factory.
But it just closes the factory down.
It closes the whole factory down. Yeah.
Because I was really surprised, because I was like, I want to look into this.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, actually, no, I don't. I haven't had a kid yet, and I'm like, I don't want to look into it, and I probably won't need to look into it yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Don't take it until you've had kids, I wouldn't say. You don't need to, man. You're not like, you're not that messed up. that I'm aware of.
I was interested to see. You know, I wanted to do a test and basically check levels and stuff.
You wanted to do some test.
I wanted to do a test to see if my factory's working properly.
You wanted to do some test.
See if I'm going to shut this thing down.
You wanted to do some testosterone. Yeah. No, that's really interesting though. I didn't know that about taking, like testosterone and actually making you infertile. And also, I did know that obviously there were negative side effects of taking steroids, which aren't necessarily exactly the same thing as
Testosterone.
Yeah, I mean it's similar.
Is it hormones still?
Yeah,
but
basically steroids are like man-made. Do you know what I mean? And there's like so many different steroids, and they're, I mean, the side effects of steroids
completely
are
unnatural.
so bad. Yeah. But anyway, we'll go to a little break, guys. Anyway, now that we've had that interesting, fascinating thing, little chat about hormones and testosterone. And as I said, I didn't know that. I didn't know that if you were still essentially supplementing with testosterone, that while you were still taking it, your testosterone, your sperm count could drop. I did not know that. And yeah, that's really interesting. I'm going to have to look into that more, because I find that really fascinating. Because as I said, I know for a fact that people have tried to supplement with testosterone in the past to actually gain. And I don't know, maybe if, as I said, maybe in the very short term, in like for a couple of years it does, or something. I don't know. But that's interesting. But yeah, don't worry about in things like vitamins, because as I said, the only way that your body would shut down the production of something is if you're replacing something that your body already makes with something from an external source. But as I said, the reason why we need to eat food in the first place is to draw vitamins and minerals and nutrients and stuff. If that wasn't the case, if your body could just make those things, we wouldn't even have to eat. So yeah, don't worry about supplementing.
Sunlight man.
It's all good. Yeah, you would just be sunlight man. Yeah, so anyway, we'll listen to a track now, guys, but we'll be back in a minute with Mystery Mondays.
Oh my, the return.
Ooh.
Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to Pandora's Box, and it's time for Mystery Mondays. It's the first Mystery Mondays in like 3 weeks, because we've been planning to do them as normal, but we just kept chatting for too long, and then the show was naturally coming to an end.
I feel like we've been on a bit of a roll the last few weeks of just
Definitely.
like chatting random stuff that wasn't even planned.
Yeah, like let us know, everyone, because we've got a bit more of like a looser format nowadays. I used to like be a little bit more like
Anal.
Yeah, a bit more anal. I used to like structure things a little bit more, yeah, like anally, I guess, and like always go through like the specific stuff that I sort of picked out for this week. But we just have like a lot more of a looser format now. I do always have stuff that's sort of like on my agenda, and to be honest, we don't even end up like coming round to it because we just end up chatting about whatever. So let us know. Do you like just the free-flowing format? Are you happy with the way things are with Pandora's Box at the moment?
And we always like suggestions. We've had a few suggestions
Absolutely.
before, haven't
Yeah,
we? About
yeah.
like,
Swedish
what to
twins
discuss
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us like any suggestions or anything like that, and yeah, give us some feedback. If you think that the old episodes were like better, do you think that they've sort of declined in quality, or do you think it's as good as ever? Just sort of like let us know, really, because yeah, a couple of people told us that they thought that it was just like as good as ever when we just sort of let it flow and just sort of talk about whatever. But
I've got to say, I like doing it this way.
Yeah, me too, man.
I like just having a chat and not really knowing what we're going to go into, but just sort of waffling.
Yeah, just like waffling. Let's face it, we're all good at waffling, aren't we? But
I like waffles.
Anyway, with that, clear your mind, everyone, because it's time for us to get into a Mystery Mondays.
Wow.
So it's time to open up your mind to the darker aspects of the world itself and humanity. Take it away, Mayor of Winkletown, if that is indeed your real name.
Well, ladies and gents, I'm back with another mystery this week. This week is a mystery. It's a bit different to what I normally would do. I feel like I've done a lot of sort of darker ones when it comes to like murders, all that kind of stuff. We did an internet one, which was quite cool, a couple of weeks back. The cicada one, if you guys remember that. But this one is actually just about a big hole in the ground. But I thought it was pretty fascinating when I was reading it. Maybe you'd have heard
Is that
of
one
it.
in Russia?
No, it's in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Okay.
On a place called Oak Island. So I read about this.
Devil's Hole.
Yeah. I read about this and it's pretty fascinating. So I just thought, you know what, we'll go into some of the details. I don't know if I'll read all of it because a lot of it sort of repeats itself. But we can just have a bit of a chat about what you guys think happened with the Mystery Pit. That's what it's called, the Mystery Pit. So there was evidence of digging which was found by two young men in 1795. So we'll pick up from
Giant
here.
sloths.
Maybe, as you were saying, back for more.
Yeah, I was saying to the guys, just like on that note, I did hear this thing with like a biologist, and he was saying that he reckons we talked about giant sloths a while ago. There were different types of giant sloths. I think was it Megatherium was one of them. Was the biggest sort of giant sloth. But there was a kind that lived in Brazil that have made these like epic tunnels, which would probably seem quite sketchy. I imagine, say, like to more like ancient cultures that came across them and just found these like these epic tunnels, but would have seen all the massive claw marks on the walls. It must have seemed quite sketchy.
I almost imagine they'd have had like no rhyme or reason to where they'd be going as well. So they'd be a little bit like curvy, you know, going up, going down.
But imagine just seeing the claw marks and seeing it, because these were big beasts, those big
Massive
ground
badgers.
sloths. Yeah, like essentially, yeah, like a giant badger. But yeah, it must seem pretty sketchy. But I've heard that some biologists theorise. Obviously, it's a complete theory at the moment, but I can't remember the exact reasons why. But some people think that there might be like a small population of them somewhere in the Amazon. In which case, that would be an epic find.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, sorry, but Bullwinkle,
cool.
back to you anyway, man.
So we'll start off with this. One can only wonder what would have happened if young Daniel McGuinness had chosen to go exploring somewhere else that fateful day in the summer of 1795. If he had, perhaps no one would have walked into the woods on the eastern end of Oak Island for the next 10 years. In that time, the clearing McGuinness found might have been reclaimed completely by the woods. In a forest, the 13-foot wide depression in the ground might have never been noticed. Thick, leafy branches might have obscured the old tackle block hanging from a branch directly over the pit. Without these markers, there would have been nothing to indicate that this was the work of man. There might have been the 200-year-long treasure hunt that cost several fortunes and many lives. It may have never happened. So we'll start off with this.
Naughty
McGuinness did see the clearing and the depression and the tackle block. Visions of pirate treasure did fill his head. He did return later with 2 friends, John Smith, age 19, and Anthony Vaughan, age 16. And together with picks and shovels, they did start perhaps the most famous treasure hunt of modern times. Undoubtedly, the 3 must have thought that they were on the verge of discovering the treasure of Captain William Kidd. Stories,
famous pirate.
Stories that the captain had buried a treasure hoard on an island east of Boston had been circulating since the 1600s. Legend had it that a dying sailor in the New England colonies confessed to being a part of Kidd's notorious crew, but he never named an exact location for the hidden booty. The island McGuinness, Smith and Vaughan were on was one of 300 small isles in the Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia, Canada. It was peanut-shaped and about 3/4 of a mile long and 1,000 feet wide. I can't tell if that's big or not. I'm not very good with metrics
that again,
and
sorry?
stuff like that. It was peanut-shaped and about 3/4 of a mile long and 1,000 feet wide.
Yeah, man, that's
Pretty
really big. 3/4 of a mile? Yeah, that's massive, dude.
Yeah.
That's probably from like here to your house or something.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
true. Cutting away the smaller trees, the 3 young men started digging in the depression. After 2 feet, they hit a floor of carefully laid flagstones. This type of slate was not found on the island, and the group figured it had been brought here from about 2 miles north. Below the stones, they saw that they were digging down a
clever
shaft.
kids, man.
I was going to say,
These seem like they're from 2 miles that way.
yeah, we would not have been like that when we were that age.
16 years old, just digging a big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Below the stones, they saw that they would. Below the stones that they saw, they were digging down a shaft that had been refilled. The walls of the shaft were scored with the marks of pickaxes, more evidence that this structure was the work of men. At the 10-foot level, they hit wood. At first, the group figured that they'd hit a treasure chest, but quickly realised that they had found a platform of oaken logs sunk into the sides of the shaft. Pulling up the logs, they discovered a 2-foot depression and more of the shaft. Continuing to dig, they finally reached a depth of 25 feet. That's digging a hole 25 feet in the ground is pretty
must have
big,
taken
man.
ages, man.
That's
Did you say
crazy.
this might not be true, this story?
No, it is true.
Oh, it is true.
This is like an actual place.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, 25 feet in the ground. At the depth, they decided that they could not continue without more help and better planning. Covering the pit over,
How
they
old are
left.
these kids again?
One was 16.
The other one was 19.
19.
Oh, okay,
I can't remember the
yeah,
original
okay,
age, but
sorry,
still pretty crazy.
I was imagining like little kids in my head. I was like, what?
Digging a 25-foot hole. They concluded that nobody would have gone to the trouble of digging a shaft deeper than 25 feet unless he had something very valuable to hide. It's a good point. Like, why would someone make that if there wasn't something crazy behind it? So we'll go to the 19th century excavations now. Not much more was done with the pit until around 1802. So that's a 7-year difference.
So they just gave up?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we're done actually.
Yeah, I guess they just couldn't get the money or like the crew to get like a backing.
Or a ladder big enough to get back out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe they just stayed down there. Who knows?
Yeah.
That is a big distance. 25 feet. I still can't get over how far down that is.
Yeah.
While stories differ, it seems likely that the 3 spent the previous years searching for a financial backer to provide assistance for a more sophisticated dig. Simeon Linds visited the money pit that year and was impressed by the story and formed a company to support the excavation. The work started in the summer of 1803. After clearing out the old pit, the crew started digging downwards. Stories have it that they struck another oak platform at 30 feet below the surface. As they continued to dig, they found something every 10 feet. Charcoal, putty, stones, or more log platforms. Finally, at the 80 or 90 foot level, depending on which historical account you read, a flat stone 3 foot long and 1 foot wide was found, with strange letters and figures cut into it. That's pretty. 90 feet into the ground. Imagine you're digging in 90 feet. It's in like the early 1800s, and then you just find this thing of like weird hieroglyphics and stuff on this like strange stone.
Yeah, it almost seems like something from a bygone age rather than like a modern thing.
Definitely. But then I guess, like they were saying, if he hadn't found it at that point, the forest would have just taken over the like pit anyway. So it must have been done like pretty soon, you'd imagine, to when they actually found the depression in the ground. Otherwise, it just would have been like taken over. I'd love to know like when this actually got built. But anyway, we'll go on. At 93 foot deep, the floor of the pit began to turn into soft mud. Before the end of that day, the crew probed the bottom of the shaft with a crowbar, hoping to find something. They hit a barrier as wide and as long as the shaft. The group speculated that they'd finally found the treasure vault and went to bed with expectations that tomorrow a fortune would be theirs.
All right.
Returning the next day, the crew was shocked to find that overnight the pit had filled with 60 feet of water.
Oh,
man, how gutted would you be? You just dug 93 feet into the ground.
And now
you
you have
think
to get
you
out your
finally got
scuba
there?
gear.
Crazy.
Now it's calling a team of scuba divers.
Bailing was useless. As soon as the water
Mate, there
was
ain't no
removed
pumps
from
in
the pit,
1800s either. Oh, they
Exactly.
did remove it.
as soon as the water was removed from the pit, more flowed in to take its place.
That's nature, bro.
What was that? Just
Yeah.
like a massive. There's nature, bro. Was that just like a massive flood or something overnight?
We'll get into what it is in just a second. An attempt was made to dig another shaft nearby and get to the treasure by running a tunnel underneath the pit, but the new shaft flooded as soon as the tunnel got close to its objective. Another attempt to find the treasure wasn't made until 1849, so that was it. They were done at that point.
Wow.
For another 40 years, that was just the end of the money pit. No one knew what was at the bottom. A new corporation was formed to finance the dig. This group wasn't much more successful, running into the same flooding problems that occurred back in 1802. They did manage to use a drill to probe what was below the money pit floor. A platform was constructed in the shaft just above the water level, and the drill operated from there. The drill seemed to bore through levels of oak, spruce, and clay. One sample recovered what appeared to be several links of chain made of gold. So there must have been something down there. But it's so interesting that once again, it's clearly, the oak must have clearly been placed there. So it's not even like it's like, oh, at this point, we don't even know what's below. Someone's definitely gone down there before and filled it in, which is just crazy. While the drilling was going on, someone noticed that the water in the pit was salty and rose and fell with the tide. This led to speculation that the builders of the pit had conceived a clever trap designed to flood the pit with water if someone ever got too close to the treasure. So basically, that's what people believe happened to it. The people that built it was smart enough to build a water trap so that if people ever did get close to the treasure and make all that effort, then it would just flood and no one would be able to do it.
The thing with that, though, is surely there must have been a way to get to it, because otherwise that would have just happened to them as well when they tried to retrieve it.
You would think so. Maybe there's some weird spot or way around it. I'm not sure.
The only other possibility is that they obviously never intended to get it themselves. But then it's well, what's the point of even putting it? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like just almost to be like a weird game or something.
The existence of the flood trap was confirmed by the discovery that the beach of Smith's Cove, located some 500 feet away from the money pit, was actually artificial. Examination showed that the original clay of the cove had been dug away, and in its place laid round beach stones, covered by 4 or 5 inches of dead eelgrass, which was covered by coconut fibre, 2 inches thick, and finally the sand of the beach.
Beavers,
yeah. Big sloughs.
Build a dam.
At the bottom of all of this were 5 box drains that apparently merged somewhere well back from the coast into a single tunnel that ran the distance to the money pit. The system was apparently designed so that the filtering action of the coconut fibre and the eelgrass would ensure that the drains would never be clogged by sand or gravel from the beach. It worked well. So it does sound just like this really complicated, deliberate plan that was made.
It's crazy.
That was mad, man.
Attempts were made to put the flood trap out of business by building a cofferdam around the cove by holding the tides back. Later pits were dug to intersect and plug the tunnel on its route to the money pit. These failed, and this try reaching the treasure was given up in 1851 when the money ran out. So already this has been what?
Like three different operations. Or whatever.
50 years this has spanned of no one being able to actually get to it.
This is a complicated network.
It's like really impressive as well that whenever it was done, that was like way before the 1800s. So like it's just to do something like that, create something that huge. Like how would they have dug those tunnels? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like how do you even get the manpower or the tools to do that? It's crazy. The next attempt in 1861 cost the first human life. The searchers tried to pump out the money pit by using steam engine powered pumps. So there you were saying, like, trying to pump it out.
Yeah.
A boiler burst and one worker was scalded to death whilst others were injured. Bad way to go.
That would suck, man. Imagine like your flesh like melting off. And also, you'd still be alive during it as well, because like, do you know what I mean? You need like a vital organ or something to fail to die.
From the outside in.
Yeah, so you'd be like excruciating pain until like I expect after what would happen after about 10 or 15 seconds is your nerves would all like melt and then you wouldn't feel pain anymore. But that first 10-15 seconds would be like, oh mate, brutal.
Further fatalities were barely avoided when the money pit's bottom, weakened by attempts to get at the treasure by digging up underneath from other shafts, collapsed. If there were any treasure chests, they were probably much deeper than this crash. This dig did succeed in discovering where the flood tunnel entered the money pit, but there was still no way to turn off the water. By 1864, these searchers were also out of money. So at this point, it just seems like a doomed to fail plan. Everyone that's taken it on, literally no way to get around and get into this money pit. In 1866, 1893, 1909, 1931 and 1936, additional excavations were started. Extreme methods were used, including setting dynamite charges to destroy the flood tunnel, building a dam to keep the water out of Smith's Cove, and building a crane with an excavation bucket. But none of these approaches recovered a single coin, which while costing the backers a small fortune and one worker his life. One of these efforts did manage to block off the flood tunnel from Smith's Cove, only to discover more water was pouring in from the opposite direction via a natural or man-made route from the south shore.
That's mental, isn't it? That's crazy, man.
So complex, this pit. Drilling also indicated that there might be some kind of cement vault at the 153-foot level.
Mate, that's so deep. Mate, surely like
It's
you'd have to think
ridiculous,
this was like
isn't it?
aliens or something that's put this in there. Like, how the hell?
Especially when you consider like
is
all of the weird hieroglyphics and stuff that were just like on the stone.
And they only even found it in the 19th century. So like, when was it even buried? Like, and then to think the logistics of that, like what machine, like how could what sort of stuff did you even have to dig that deep and then set like these networks of almost like not traps, but
Get
like
Graham Hancock into this one.
yeah.
By the time the south end of this island was full of old shafts though, and it was increasingly hard to tell which one the original money pit actually was. Searchers often ran out of money just trying to figure out where the original shaft had been. So they dug so many holes by this point that people were just looking going, oh no, we've got no clue which one
Which
it is.
shaft is our shaft?
Imagine that, man. Imagine that. Imagine you'd had to pay, you got loads of money to organise a dig for this money, and all the money you've managed to get in, you can't even find the right hole to go into. Yeah, crazy.
God dang it.
In 1959, so we're on to modern excavations now, Robert Restall, a former daredevil motorcyclist, took up the challenge with the help of his 18-year-old son. What a funny, like, little companionship to do that.
We're gonna do it, boy.
Yeah,
They were
father-son
daredevil.
time, we're digging a hole.
Yeah.
By then, Smith Cove's flood tunnel had become unblocked, and Restall
cool.
made it... No, that means like it's... the water's back in now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So they managed to block it like a little bit, but by
Right.
now it's back unblocked again.
Right.
So back at square one. Restall made it his first order of business to seal it off. He had sunk a shaft to the depth of 27 feet near Smith's Cove when tragedy struck. His son found him laying at the bottom of the pit in muddy water. Climbing down to help his father, the boy suddenly fell off the ladder and lay next to him. Cal Greasier, Restall's partner, and workers Cyril Hiltz and Andy DeMont climbed down to assist, but also collapsed before reaching the bottom. Edward White, a visiting fireman, from Buffalo, New York, immediately suspected carbon monoxide poisoning from the exhaust of a nearby gasoline pump and descended the pit with a rope tied around his waist. He was unable to rescue DeMont, but the others all died. In one day, the Oak Island mystery claimed 4 more lives.
Whoa, man, brutal.
Savage,
so which one
isn't
survived?
it?
The
Andy
dad or
DeMont.
Was that the main guy?
No. This is just like one of the workers that was with them. But
Man, should
yeah.
have tried to get the kid, man.
Yeah, crazy. In 1965, Robert Dunfield tried to apply modern open pit mining methods to the treasure hunt. Using a 70-ton digging crane, he dug a hole at the original pit site 140 feet deep.
I was going to say, with like modern machinery, surely it would be way easier.
You would think so. 100 feet in diameter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that like really big?
Oh, yeah.
Why are they making it? Surely the treasure chest is not going to be 100 feet in diameter.
I guess for like
That's just
flooding
crazy.
issues and stuff like that to try and get around that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's a big hole. A very big hole.
That's a damn big hole, that's what she said.
The dirt was carefully sifted for any treasure, but only a few pieces of porcelain dishware were found. Heavy rains dragged the work out for months, and Dunfield ran out of money. The pit and its mystery designer had won again. This story just gets crazy.
Cups from all that. Oh man.
In 1970, the Triton Alliance was formed to continue looking for the treasure. Legal battles between owners of different portions of the island resulted in slow progress. A number of holes were drilled in an attempt to locate the treasure and better understand the geological nature of the island, but no gold was ever recovered. Little work has been done in the area of the money pit itself as the soil is unstable. Often caverns, thought to be natural, have been found beneath the island. A video camera lowered down one borehole into one of these spaces recorded an image that looked like chests and a human hand severed at the wrist.
Oh, cool.
The quality of the images was so poor though that positive identification was impossible. But that's crazy. They just put like a camera down one of these like weird holes, and there was just chests and a like cut off hand. Crazy.
What's in those chests, man? Exactly.
And whose hand is that? Triton bought the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute in to survey the island in 1995 and render an opinion on whether there is something valuable at the bottom of the pit. While the report is confidential, people who have seen it say that its conclusions are not discouraging. Currently, little work is being done on the island, while disputes between the owners of Triton are being settled. In addition to the money pit, the rest of the island seems to be loaded with old stone markers of various types. The most peculiar of these 6 boulders that seem to be laid out in the shape of a cross, that is almost 900 feet long. Some wild speculation based on the cross suggests that Oak Island might be home to the long-missing Holy Grail. But there is no real solid evidence to support this. But that's crazy, isn't it?
No, Drew, not Templar. Do you remember my old man had a go at you about that? It's not Templar. Round table.
That is crazy though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this 900-foot cross that has just been made out of all these weird stones. Something's going on at this island, surely.
Yeah, the Templars did look for the Holy Grail. They did try and look for it. So did the Nazis, yeah.
So we'll go on to the possible culprits. Who built the money pit? And why did they really put some kind of treasure
it does
down
make you
there?
think it was like aliens or like some ancient civilization or something.
Yeah, man.
Was it Captain Kidd? Despite the legends, it seems unlikely
I
that
don't
Captain
think that
William
just like
Kidd,
a really good swashbuckling pirate could have just come up with that. Like,
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like imagine like being back in the day, like if you just decided you're going to dedicate your life to being a pirate. You know, you're a good sailor, pretty good like at like smuggling and like sword fighting and that and drinking. That does not mean that you would be able to like develop this massive intricate system. Well, it was like 170 feet down, or you said something ridiculous. Like what the hell?
With like weird flood traps and stuff.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Crazy.
No way.
It does go on about like how it could be Blackbeard and stuff, but then it goes on to say, in fact, it seems unlikely that any pirate could be responsible for such a complex labyrinth as the pit.
No way.
Like you were saying, pirates buried treasure because it was a quick way to hide and recover their goods. But a digging operation like that must have taken several months and just doesn't seem like a pirate's kind of style.
It's just how deep it is, isn't it? And like the intricacy of like the design of like the safeguarding. of the treasure, and that just seems a bit mental.
It's like they say, if it had taken months to dig, like what? I still just would be so curious if it is just gold or if there's some kind of
I
like.
don't think
it's
it
got to
would
be
just
something
be gold.
crazy under there. You'd
Yeah.
think. Some
treasures of a
theories.
nation.
Yeah, exactly. Except the Holy Grail itself. Some theories suggest that the structures built on Oak Island may have been hundreds, even 1,000 years old when they were discovered in 1795. They may have been built by Vikings visiting the New World or by the native Micmac people who lived in the region before the Europeans appeared.
The guys that created the crisps.
Yeah, perhaps they were built by an advanced civilization that we still know nothing about.
That's the one I think it is.
Indeed, the flood tunnel trap built into the pit in some way reminds us of the false doors and granite plugs found in Egyptian tombs to prevent grave robbing.
But Egypt's a long way from Nova Scotia.
Does fit with the weird like hieroglyphics and stuff that they found there, doesn't it? Almost links weirdly.
Think about how far away Canada is from North Africa, though. That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. It is mental. To be honest,
baby.
I'm looking at the rest of it. That is pretty much the entire story because there's not
that's
really
crazy.
anything else anyone knows
So
about
what's
it.
the
It's
official
just,
name of the mystery?
the money pit or the mystery pit of of Oak Island.
Of Oak Island.
Crazy.
And you said it was in Nova Scotia in Canada?
Nova Scotia, Canada. Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy, man.
But,
I'd never, ever even heard anything of that.
Nice.
So that's
I'm
quite
glad I
cool.
managed to find
That's
find
quite
one.
an obscure mystery, do you know what I mean? I feel like most of them I've like at least heard of them a little bit, but
Especially
I've never
for
heard
how
of them.
many people have tried to figure it out as well or dig it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is nuts, man.
The thing that struck me, like when I first read it, was just every single time they did an excavation, there was just something that went wrong, almost like it was just destined for people to
Cursed.
never find it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
It's annoying as well that the more modern it's got, it's just been wrapped up in legal battles and stuff.
Yeah,
because
so
people are
annoying.
fighting over just who owns the land and stuff, so we'll probably never know.
Bleeding typical, that isn't it? It's
typical,
bleeding.
I tell
You'd
ya.
think that nowadays with like modern machinery,
Yeah,
if you wanted to make a
probably could do
real
it.
good go of
Yeah.
it, you probably just could. Like,
And the time is now.
Yeah, the time is now. You gotta do it. Or I was thinking, even like some sort of like mechanical arm, you wouldn't have to send people down there.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? But then, like, if you just had like a hook attached to a wire with like some sort of mechanical arm or something with a camera on it that you could put down and hook it onto something and then just drag it out. That's what I was thinking.
I always thought it was really interesting when I worked at Hinkley Point as well. Like I was on the jetty project and they were talking about the next stage of like the development of it. It was boring tunnels, so it was like going from like, because it's right on the edge of the coast there, they would literally like bore down into the rock, but then underground under the sea, like really far out into the sea, and then up to like
I think-
draw in water or whatever. Or
I think Lee Emily's brother might have been working on that.
yeah,
Might have been on
and
that.
just there was these massive drill bits that literally like would
Yeah.
create these tunnels like into the ground and that, and it's like so cool. But that's like super modern, you know.
Get
Like,
one of them down there.
I remember thinking like, whoa, that's crazy that we just got these giants.
Didn't like Dr. Robotnik use them in Sonic?
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that guy that got crushed to death at Hinkley?
No.
A couple of months ago. You know, like, mate, it made me think of Austin Powers.
What, on a big roller?
You know those freaking big rollers that go
Yeah.
like 5 miles an hour?
Yeah.
A guy got crushed to death by one of them. Apparently, he was out in the courtyard and apparently phones a band in the courtyard, but he was just on his phone. And it was quite like a big machine, innit? So you can't see like below a certain level.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons they ban phones, because anyone that's out on the forecourt has to be like super aware of what's going on around them. Some guy was just like walking around and just like staring down at his phone and didn't realise, because they're like pretty much silent, the roller. And the guy in the machine didn't realise until somebody like came over and was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then by that point, the guy was already like dead. But yeah, the guy just like, guy was going along, didn't see the guy because he was like below his height, his eye line, and just freaking just slowly just crushed the guy to like paste, mate, like tomato paste.
Oh my
Like tomato-
God.
like tomato
Was it
pi-
on Sea Station?
like tomato puree. I don't know. I
That
just
is
know it was something.
insane.
Yeah,
Horrible way to go.
mate. Yeah, I imagine just like, because the thing is, I always think when you hear stuff like that, like to that guy, just like another day going to work. Do you know what I mean? It's like it literally. Oh, I'm just going to work. You do not think, oh, today's the day I'm gonna get turned into tomato puree. But like, yeah, rest in peace to that guy. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know his name or anything, but savage and like, yeah, obviously, our thoughts go out to his family. And that brutal, man, absolutely brutal, but crazy. But yeah, that's a nuts mystery, anyway, Bullwinkle. As I said, I never ever even remotely heard of that before, so that's really cool. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this week's Mystery Mondays.
Welcome back, Mystery Mondays.
Yeah, I mean, usually we sort of like speculate on what it could be in that, but to be honest, I don't really have any feedback, really. I do think that it's like, to be that deep and to be that intricate, and the fact that it's like literally a fact that there are some things down there, I do find that proper fascinating. I do think, you said earlier on, it's like a straight up like Graham Hancock thing.
Yeah.
I do think that. It's like almost like you think like...
ancient civilization.
Yeah, like maybe. Like, do you know what I mean? It just seems a little bit weird, doesn't it? Like...
I do love the idea that it's been there like thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good
I love
possibility.
the idea that that history is so much older than we think it is.
Things just keep getting older.
Yeah, I just
As
like
Graham
love the
says.
thought of that, because that makes it like really interesting to think that we could actually discover things about our past that are just like that will blow our minds. You know, that Earth is actually a lot older and everything than we think, or humans on the Earth.
It does make it quite frustrating that they haven't found it, that they haven't gotten to the bottom of it.
Frustrating,
You just
but
wanna know what's
exciting
there.
as well.
I wonder,
Yeah,
I mean, I wonder when they're next gonna frickin' like next.
Yeah, get
take
these
it up.
legal battles sorted
sorted.
out and go and get some boring tunnels dug over there. We want to see what's down there, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed Mystery Mondays this week, ladies and gentlemen. Just wanted to quickly give a little shout out of this, because I got an email from a lady called Alice Moulding.
Oh yeah.
From London, and it was just like a simple request. So I'm gonna do it. She basically sent a message saying, "Hello everyone, my name is Alice, and I work for CPL Productions in London. We are currently casting for the Netflix hit series Love is Blind.
Ooh.
I am writing to you in the hope that you will be able to help spread the news that our applications are now open to the public. The news of our show has already been featured in publications such as Cosmopolitan, Daily Mail, blah, 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 which has been hugely helpful so far. It would be amazing if you would give us a shout out. We think the show will be very popular amongst your listeners. I have provided a brief description of the show below, along with a link, blah, blah, blah. Show description, hit Netflix dating show." It sounds like the sort of thing that Shreo
Should
would
I
like.
go on it?
You should go on it. Bullwinkle.
Apply that,
Yeah.
imagine.
It's like Shreo loves these sort of
There you
things. Drew's sister, Drew's like middle sister. Shreo, she loves these sort of things. I remember when she used to work here, she used to work upstairs sometimes, and she'd be watching like Love Island while she was working. And that just used to like crack me up so much. But yeah, Love is Blind. UK will follow single contestants attempting to find love by taking part in a social experiment, where we will find out if love is truly blind. Wanting to be loved for who they are, rather than what they look like. Our singles will step up to our bespoke pods to talk to a host about potential love interests without distractions from the outside world, in the hope of building a meaningful connection. Following the engagements, the couples will get to see each other for the first time and return to the real world to plan their wedding day and attempt to add a physical connection to their emotional bond.
Oh, baby.
Jiggy. Yeah,
So yeah, do you want to be on that?
Yeah.
Which of our couples will seal their vows? Will they discover that love is real, or is it indeed blind? Yeah, and then it says if you are interested in applying for the series, please do so here at shortaudition.com/loveisblinduk. So yeah, there you go, Alice Moulding from CPL Productions in London. If anybody wants to be on like a date-in program on Netflix, yep, send in your applications. You never know, you could get married, or it could just be really weird. But either
That'd
way,
be a funny story. Imagine if I went on that
Mate,
and
you
came
should
back
go on
the
it.
pod.
What do you reckon,
with
everyone?
A story about what it'd be.
let us know. Do you reckon that Bullwinkle should sign up to the show?
Will he find love?
Will I find love? Who knows?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's all sorts of things I could say about how different funny people that you would end up with. But I probably shouldn't. But yeah, it'd be cool. Anyway, it's time for Quickfire Facts! Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get up my little factoids for this week, shall I? Shall I? You reckon I should?
Fact time.
Did you know that female dragonflies will fake their own death to avoid mating with unwanted males? That's quite extreme, isn't it?
Damn.
I think I said last week a fact about how female fish will fake orgasms. But this is next level. This is straight up just
fake their death.
just like I'm just suddenly like that. Imagine just like doing that and like as a human, someone's just trying it on with you and you're just not really into it, and then suddenly just like, and they're like, "You're right," and you're just there
I'm dead.
until they just feel so weird and uncomfortable they just like leave or ring the police.
Probably would work, to be fair.
Yeah.
I reckon it would freak them out. Whether they
always
believe
think,
you.
like, how funny it would be. There was someone on the train today, right? And he came and sat like right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I think he had a bit of like mental disabilities or something. But like he kept like looking at me, but every time I made eye contact with him, he just like kind of looked away, like, you know what I mean? It was like one of those. But I was like, I was making it think. I was like smiling at him and that, just like
non-stop.
he knew. And then that made me think. Imagine if you're in these social situations, if you just literally do that to someone that you don't know, how funny that would be. Just in this
Every now and again, just a little cheeky.
Yeah, because I was like that was like me on the bus on the train earlier. Yeah, because But imagine, instead of faking your own death, you just did that. Like, I reckon that would work. Are you getting freaked out, audience, like right now?
That would terrify. Imagine if you were in the middle of a conversation and you just see in the background someone staring at you like that.
I really want to try it out, but I'm not. I haven't got the cojones to do it.
I've heard that like one of the traits of psychopaths apparently is that they don't know how to make appropriate eye contact. And don't get me wrong, I think once you consciously start thinking about eye contact, I think anyone's going to sort of mess it up and be a bit weird. But obviously, in general, people know how to regulate normal eye contact. But apparently, one of the things that is like a telltale sign of a psychopath is if they do like uncomfortably long, like staring. Do you know what I mean? So like a normal person will naturally.
It's quite intrusive, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes you feel a bit like I know what you mean. So like most people will naturally look around a little bit, even while you're just having a direct conversation with just one person. They're not just going to be like the whole time. Do you know what I mean? You'll naturally like look down, like scratch a leg, look around. Oh yeah, and then they get back to it, look at them for a couple of seconds, look down. Think about it. Whereas apparently one of the telltale signs of a psychopath is because their whole entire brains and their social, the way that they construct themselves socially and everything and conduct themselves, their conduct is just bizarre, isn't it? So yeah, they will just stare at people until it makes you feel uncomfortable. But they don't realize that it's making people feel uncomfortable.
How can you? That's crazy. How you can not realize that?
Yeah.
Do you know
I feel like I've definitely had conversations with people where like you almost feel like they are like even after you're kind of looking away, they'll just be like staring at you the whole time. I feel like I've definitely been in that situation before, but maybe I'm just bad with it.
As part of these summer like circles I've been in and that, like one of the what's it called, like exercises would be like eye gazing and stuff, and we've talked about it before. But I remember I was eye gazing with someone like. And
I think if it's a deliberate experience, then that's different because you know it's deliberate, so it takes the weirdness out. Even with that,
like I remember
still
this
makes
guy
you feel
was like. He says, sorry man, I've got to look away. I'm like, you're really intense eyes. Like it's like really intense, and and I was like, oh right.
Oh right, sorry about that, mate.
Yeah. I was trying to just be friendly.
Yeah, I love the idea of this guy. It's just like trying to do it casually, and Drew's just there like,
deep look into the
Drew's
eyes.
floating. Drew's floating in the locust.
It can feel like someone's looking into your soul.
It is. Eyes are the windows to the soul, man.
Yeah, they do say that, don't they? I remember, I took it as a compliment, but I remember when I met those like Figaro de Montmartre guys, I remember the guy who said to me, he was like, when he said goodbye, he was like, you have very soulful eyes. And I was like, thanks, man.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, sound. This is an interesting fact now. I swear I was going to go somewhere quickly before I moved on, but I'll save it for another day. Did you know that close friends usually have actual genetic similarities to each other the same way that families do? Yeah, so it's really interesting. It just goes to show that you will tend to make friends with people, on the whole, in general, that have a similar genetic background to you. And that the same reason why, your family is your family, your friend group will often have a very similar genetic history.
Family.
Yeah, so it says, next time someone says you would really like my friend, she's just like you, try to refrain from giving her the side eye. It turns out she might have some science to back her up. According to a new study from Yale University and the University of California at San Diego, good friends are often genetically similar and can share as much as 1% of the same gene variants. In genetic terms, that is a hell of a lot. As close as a fourth cousin. So
Whoa.
your closest friends might be as genetic similar to you as literally one of your fourth cousins.
Cool.
But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's like you just sort of like tend to make friends with people that I
Gravity.
guess are more similar to you. I mean, I guess in a way that sort of makes sense, but I guess people would normally think of it in the sense of like they're similar to me in terms of what television programs they like, what they're into. But what this is saying is it's actually on a genetic level.
It's like we've both got loads of freckles.
We've got freckles. We've
Yeah.
both got Scottish DNA, a lot of Northern European DNA. And obviously it's not saying, not necessarily exact, but I think the fact that it's saying it's like you could be as much as like, fourth cousins. That's
I always
that's very
found it
interesting.
mad that like for some reason like our friend group there's just this
Scottish
like
thing.
random Scottish connection thing.
Yeah, Josh. We didn't even know
Yeah,
about Josh
which we didn't
until
know about, but, like,
recently because
yeah.
he only found out about 5 years. Well, maybe not even 5 years ago. But yeah, Josh is like what, quarter Scottish, something like that, quarter Scottish. Yeah, definitely, man. And doesn't like Willie randomly as well.
Yeah, and
That's
Nicky
so fun.
C.
And Nicky C. Yeah, it's like what the hell?
And it's like what?
Yeah, we're all just like up in the clans in
Yeah.
Scotland. Yeah. But it's funny, isn't it? And then it's like, I mean, obviously I don't know all my friends' genetic history, but some of them look a bit like Scandi as well. And yeah, I know I've got like a lot of Norwegian DNA as well and things like that. But it's like all that Northern European thing, isn't it? But yeah, I've got like some Irish as well. I know I've got some Irish as well as. But funnily enough, I said that because I remember when my my family did it. One of the things that we were most surprised at is. I'm only something like 20% English in terms of my DNA, which obviously I thought it would be like 60, 70%, but I'm only 20%. The rest is all Scandinavian and Irish and Scottish.
I'm like 95%
Yeah.
English. How crazy is that? That's like probably about as English as you can get. Think of all the people that have come over to England, and for somehow my genes have just all been here.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
Crazy,
that.
isn't it?
There's nothing wrong with that. But I think in itself, you've got to bear in mind that by being English, you are going to be a bit of a mongrel anyway, because by English, you could very well have like a little bit of like Roman, do you know what I mean? And, a little bit of but I think even Anglo-Saxons, that's basically three different groups, because what became known as the Anglo-Saxons were actually the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes, which were like three separate people that came across from basically what is modern day North Germany, the Netherlands, and southern Denmark. So even that, you'll still have an interesting mix. But we've come to the end of the show, everyone. So thanks for listening to this week's episode. We appreciate y'all. For everyone listening on the radio, we're gonna leave you with a track now. It's by this band called Central Line. I just want to do a shout out to a guy called Steve that we met in Kent on Mark Carey's show on Deal Radio, his show UIC. Thanks for having me and Drew just sitting in on your show, Mark. That was awesome. Yeah, I met this awesome musician called Steve. Sorry, Steve, can't remember your last name off the top of my head, but he was in this awesome funk band in the 70s called Central Line. We're going to play their song now. This is What We Got Is Hot, and it is absolutely amazing. So guys, check this out. It's like prog funk and it's just awesome. We'll see you next week, guys. Cheers.
Peace.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
Take a look deep inside. You'll be surprised by the things that you find. You found clarity, but things don't come around so easily. Just take my hand, we'll disappear to a faraway land. Take a look and see. To make it happen, you must first believe. The journey of life is filled with lust, hunger, and strife. Sometimes I can't see anything with certainty. Just let it be. Continue on, just soldier on. What even is true? Just be the best version of you. Living day to day in this eternal man-made cage. I need to get out, I must be free, I must end this doubt. Fountains of time, I must stay strong, I must keep my spine. Prepare and stay strong for battles fought and battles won.
Take a look deep inside, you'll be surprised by the things that you find. You found clarity, good things don't come around so easily. Just take my hand, we'll disappear to a faraway land. Take a look and see, to make it happen you must first believe. Alright, baby.